It's time for Drummer Nation. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and pioneering jazz rock drummer Danny Seraphine is a founding member of the legendary band Chicago. In 2016, Danny and the band were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Critically acclaimed as an instrumentalist and a composer, Danny Seraphine is considered a founding father of jazz rock drumming and was ranked by Rolling Stone magazine as one of the top 100 drummers of all time. My interview with Danny Seraphine, next on Drummer Nation.
Our latest innovation has opened the door for all drummers to have the same access as top musicians in the world. Custom cymbals. Now available to everyone. Your next sound just got more interesting. Sabine Custom Shop.
Danny Seraphine, holy smokes, am I delighted to talk to you. Thank you for doing my show. Nice to meet you.
Thanks. You too, Michael. It's great to be with you. Hanging with you. Finally made it. Sorry about the last couple attempts, but we get it. We're going to get it done today.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted, man. I've been a fan of yours for so long. I heard you in, I don't know, 71 or 2 at Georgia Tech at the Coliseum there or something. It's just a road gig to you a while ago. But I mean, I know all your recordings, and I've been keeping up with you forever, and it sure is an honor to meet you and have you on the show.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, I don't like to do a lot of early stuff, but let's talk about your early years. How'd you get started playing drums?
You know, I saw my uncle play at a couple of family functions, and I said to my mom, I want to do that. I want to be a drummer like Uncle Dominic. And sure enough, I did. That started me and inspired me. And then I saw I saw the Gene Krupa story, and the Gene Krupa soundtrack. I used to play. I kind of learned to play to that, and ironically, I some of those licks absolutely stuck with me, and still do them. So I was pretty young. I started at 9, and I was a natural, and I had so much energy. I was like unleashed fury, So drums were the perfect instrument for me.
But your rhythm time concept and all came from jazz players, right?
In the beginning, yeah. Just like I said, Gene was my first drum hero, and then of course I started taking lessons, and that's why I was such a traditional grip guy. And then Ringo came along, and I saw, started playing matched like him. So therefore, I have both grips. I've mastered both grips. So, there's a very deep, old school swing ingrained in my rock playing and my jazz playing.
Well, that's what was great about it, if you ask me. I mean, that's why you are such an influential drummer, because you were among the first generation of those guys to really accurately employ both of those disparate elements. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I was really striving to do that. It wasn't by accident, because once I started studying with Bob Tillis when I was 16, 17, I was really trying to mix jazz and rock. Find ways. I was really trying to find ways to integrate all this great shit that I was learning from him into what I was doing with Chicago, which at that time was called the Big Thing. So,
well, that's an important point to me, because you talk to people on the bands. Say, did you guys ever talk about the concept like Marty Morell with Bill Evans? No, never mentioned it. It was just understood. But when you guys were starting Chicago, it was thoughtful that you were trying to incorporate these elements, right?
Well, it was more action driven than it was thoughtful on my part, and I'm sure it was thoughtful on James Pankoff's part. Robert Lamb too, the writers. But it was also just kind of happening, It was kind of coming out in the, I'd learned these new concepts, and at a rehearsal, it doesn't always come out that easily. When you learn something new, especially something complicated, and you're trying to drop it into a rock song, or you're trying to drop it into a rock beat, and I got so good at it that all of a sudden I could just switch gears seamlessly, But, it just happened that it was like an evolutionary kind of metamorphosis with the band, that was happening within the band. Jimmy was writing these horn charts, and Robert was writing these songs with incredible time changes, and Terry too, So it was really, we were pushing the envelope, we were pushing the envelope for sure. And everybody was along for the ride, jump on the train, is what it was like,
Now, was your role, did you think of it as improvisational, or were you looking to play the same part more or less nightly?
Improvisational.
Yeah, see, that's what I love about
listen,
it.
there were sections that were the same for sure, structurally, but it was very seldom ever played the same. But as you played it more and more and more and more, and successfully, you kind of had to play it the same. But there was a lot of improvisation. That's why nothing was ever done with a click.
Mm-hmm.
It was always it was always free form in a sense, and there was you can hear it. Some of it's pretty damn loose, and some of it's amazing how some of it is so tight.
Well, I want to get to that. In a minute. But, in the swing era, there were improvisational solos that people have documented from radio checks that were pretty much the same every night, but they morphed into something that became part of the performance. Always, though, with the element of improvisation involved. And I think when you were doing that, it was well before this music sort of, in my mind, kind of devolved into parts and conformity and repetition. I guess that's not a question, more of an observation.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I mean, there was a conscious effort in the band around the fifth album where the songwriters decided to start writing shorter songs because they couldn't get on the radio with longer songs, and they were tired of their songs being chopped up. And whether it was good for the band or bad for the band, some people would say it was bad for the band, other people would say it was good. It had its price. It became a lot more successful, but I think we also probably lost a large segment of our audience, but gained an even larger segment. So I think I look at it as part of the evolution of the band, and I don't necessarily look at the 80s as devolving. Because it was, once you get in that cycle of needing hits and wanting hits and having to have hits to keep a certain level of success,
mm-hmm.
You fall into a rat race, so to speak. But there was a lot of great songs in the 80s. They're great songs. You can, as a jazz guy, you can say the inspiration, well, it wasn't Danny Seraphine's best. Well, it wasn't. I didn't even plan on maybe the inspiration, but hard to say I'm sorry, hard to have it to break, but I'm still proud of that work because of the fact that those songs will, like the early stuff, are timeless as well, but in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
That was Peter's turn.
Let me clarify for a second. I didn't mean your playing or the band devolving so much as the concept of that mixing and matching and going for it and improvisation over the course of a decade or so across the genre sort of changing.
Oh, no. But it is. Some people look at it as devolving. A lot of people don't like that era. A lot of the original Chicago fans don't like the 80s era. Mm. And there's a lot of 80s Chicago fans that barely know the early stuff. It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but it was an amazing thing what the band did, that we were able to pull that off, with David, with the help of David Foster. And then, of course, him and Peter were an amazing team. And then bringing Bill Champlin in and bring in another whole element, and Jason Chef. It all added to this pretty incredible stew. But it's been an amazing ride. It was an amazing ride at first. I'm no longer a part of it, and haven't been for so long. I've almost forgotten what it was. Well, it's been since 1990. So let's do the math. It's a long time.
Right.
Almost 30. Is it? I don't know. Is it 30 years?
A long time. But I like the band all the way through. I'm not
not
drawing lines in there.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not getting defensive in any way, shape, or form, because I understand what you meant by the business devolved, and it is really devolved now. I mean, I'm getting old or something. I do not like what I hear, and I know that there's so much better out there. These artists are truly talented artists, and they're so hamstrung with the rigid, playlist, and I feel sorry for them, because we were lucky. We were able to create music that has stood the test of time, but we had the freedom to do that. These people don't have I don't know if these tunes are a lot of these tunes are going to stand the test of time. I mean, maybe they will, I guess, but I don't hear anything memorable, and they sound so much alike. Their melodies and the production treatment is so similar. Turns me off.
A couple of responses. I'm sorry, that's a delay we were talking about. A couple of responses to that. I was interviewing Zigaboo at a NAMM show, and we were way up in a tall building, and he was talking about those early creative days. And we hear this pulse coming from downstairs 20 floors, and he says, and now it's this. And he was referring to the same thing you were, that it was so hamstrung and predictable that the drummers don't have a lot of room in there.
It was the ultimate in funk and feel, and
yeah,
such an amazing feel, and anybody, when you inventor of a style or pioneer of a style, ultimate respect. So, yeah.
I listen to those old Chicago records, and I hear the Buddy and the Louie and the fills that were, 16th note triplets and Around the Kid and improvisational and space. And I also hear, in the later stuff, like a Beatles track, a Keltner kind of track, just taking care of the job. Did you approach things, was that discussed, or you just sort of felt the evolution was taking place?
Well, I like to think of myself as a really musical drummer. And Bob Tillis turned me into a good musician. So I would like to think that I am a really good musician. And being a good musician means you have to do what's right for the song as a drummer, and as any player, And it's all the players that I play with, they're tasteful players. And, maybe what a big surprise, it was very, very Beatlesque, but also beyond Beatlesque. I mean, I did things beyond Ringo, way beyond Ringo. I don't mean that as a cut to Ringo, because he was very groundbreaking in his own way, but it was very simple, And the stuff I did was also simple, but in between that simple, I would weave complicated patterns in there,
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, but the feel of the song and doing what was right for the song was paramount, and I'm proud of that. And like those that Harry Truman and If You Leave Me Now, just really great simple drum parts, which is what the song called for. That's all.
Right. Let's talk about the time feel that changed in music during that period beyond the scope of the band Chicago. I know you're friends with Steve Smith. He was makes no bones about the fact that he was playing in Journey when it was one way, and then the sequencers came on board, and everything had to be perfect. And now we have a generation of kids that have just come up with everything needing to be perfect. You mentioned the time feel before, like sometimes it could be loosey-goosey, sometimes. What do you think about that? There was a definite change in that, don't you think?
Yeah, I hate perfect. I'm tired of perfect. It sanitizes everything. Again, I feel sorry for believe me, the artists of today, the drummers, the guitarists, keyboardists, singers, they all would love to be doing what we did and to be able to have the freedom to do what we did. And I hope someday they do, because until they do, it's going to be hard for them to create timeless, music. I mean, there's a place for perfect. There's a place for sequencers. There's a place for drum machines. There's a place for click tracks. And I would never doubt that. And I think clicks are great practice tools. And some people swear by them. But I think, I think Chicago plays with tracks now. I think they do. I think so. Therefore, the drummer has to play to a click on every song. And I thought to myself, God, I would hate that. I would absolutely hate that. And because it limits. It's like it's the same every night, and there's no way there can be any spontaneity. There just can't be. So, and that's true. So many bands now are playing with tracks. Well,
I've interviewed,
and I hate that. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I've interviewed so many drummers who are involved in that world, and the thing is, they point out the whole concert is on a grid. It's not just a fact that there's a track so something doesn't speed up or slow down. The lights are tied into it. The video's tied into it. The set movements are tied into it. And consequently, a concert may differ by 45 seconds from one night to the next. That's not why we picked up sticks.
I think it's kind of on a par with the steroid era in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Once some of these bands started doing it, and say they were on the same bill, say Chicago was playing with Earth, Wind and Fire. Well, Earth, Wind and Fire was on tracks a long time ago, from what I hear. Mm-hmm. And that's a different kind of music, so it's almost it's. But the thing is, they would sound so good and so big because their vocals were doubled, and the horns were doubled and tripled, and and they could move around and dance around as much as possible without even if they didn't play, but they played, for the most part. And say the Chicago next to them would sound thin and weak, and even though they're trying to play the real. So it's almost like, I guess it's a fact of life, but it's one I don't dig it. I don't dig it at all. I think it's. I know a lot of people feel the same way. No one really. It's like almost like a dirty little secret that nobody really talks about, in my opinion. I haven't heard a lot of bands talking about it. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't think it's right. I think it's live music is supposed to be live music, and that ain't live music. So it's we crucified Milli Vanilli in whatever year that was to the point where the singer committed suicide.
Well, and that was a little different in that wasn't even them on the recording.
Yeah, but I know, but it's it's one step removed from total lip syncing, right?
Right.
It's one step removed from total lip syncing. So I just think it's wrong, and I think the audience. The bad part is the audience doesn't do shit. Doesn't even know. They hardly know that these bands are playing with tracks.
You broke up there. Can I ask you to say that again from that last little half a paragraph? I
mean, the audience doesn't even know, that they're playing the tracks half the time. They think, oh, this sounds great. My God, it sounds great. Yeah, it sounds great. They're playing with doubled brass and doubled background vocals and, doubled this and doubled that. And I get it. That's how we make the records. And maybe I'm old fashioned and out of, and should retire, but I like playing it live. I don't want to play with a click on every song. It's like having a stick up your ass. And sorry, I don't like it,
I'm with you, brother.
But yeah, if I had to do it, I could do it, if I had a song or two, but to do it across the whole evening, I'm sorry, I think it's wrong. And I think it's, but, there's a lot of people that disagree with me, and a lot of people are really successful doing it. And so,
well, that's why we all have, that's why we all have different record collections. That's okay. Yeah. Now, another thing you're probably not going to be too happy about is triggers. I've talked to guys who go out and there's a snare drum trigger and a bass drum trigger, and the producer gives you the sound. They don't even choose their bass drum and snare drum sound. Same kind of.
That's not as bad as track. Mm-hmm. Triggers can be pretty cool, for a rock song, or if you're trying to a big ballad. I was using triggers a long time ago. Now, I imagine they've come a long way and are even more accurate. But I was, at the end of my tenure with Chicago, I was so techno. I was so far ahead of technology. I had a thing called the human clock I was hooked to, and I could play these sequencers followed my time, provided I stayed within a grid threshold. And you can hear there's some solos online where you can hear that I'm playing with programmed percussion. But triggers, I mean, I like just straight beautiful drums. but that big snare drum sound, and hard to say I'm sorry. The only way you could really reproduce it was with a trigger, and some of the bass drum, and it was huge. And those triggers kicked in.
Now let me talk about.
I'm not as down on triggers as I am on tracks. So
okay, fair enough. Let me ask you about. You said huge bass drum. You play now with 2 18s, right?
No, not anymore. That was just for a period of time.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm just on a 24 or a 22 with double pedal. I love double pedal.
Right.
No, I did it for a while. It was pretty cool. 2 18s with like 2 cannons. Man, it was great. Yeah, because you can't. A double pedal on an 18 is a little bit tough. I don't believe it works very well. But on a 22 or 24 or 26, double pedal works really fine. So I prefer double pedal, one bass drum.
Right. A lot of pop music today, there isn't drums in it. There aren't any drums, real drums in the whole song. I was listening to top 40 records for the last few years, and I had a hard time finding anything with real guitar or real drums.
Yeah, we're getting old.
Let me ask you track by track about some of these songs that you were well known for,
Okay.
and what elements of jazz and rock and time feel you might have been thinking of. Only the Beginning, or Beginnings, I think is the name of the song.
Yeah.
I was watching a live track from you in 1970. You've got some double time versus halftime stuff in there. It's not uncommon to have some fast hand stuff with some backbeat things. What do you think about when you think about your part in that song?
Well, I think melody and melodic. But when we were recording it, our producer, James William Garcia, was in the booth because it was one of the first drum mic setups where there was actually true stereo, right? And he's in the booth going, as I'm playing and I'm going, okay. I mean, if you listen, I'm filling wall to wall, and some people would think it's overplaying, but it seemed to work, it's like Latin. I'm just throwing the kitchen sink at it, trying to keep it in time and trying not to step on too much. So I don't know if I think I probably stepped on some things, but there's a magic to the record, especially, and the live stuff. More it's kind of Latin, rock, tasteful. Comes down in dynamics, and that's a beautiful song. It's one of my favorite drum parts.
Yeah, mine too. Of all drum tracks.
Live it's good, but live is I just try to make it exciting, build. So, sometimes I built it too much. So it's like build. It was, it's just. But the record is really a great drum part, one that I'm proud of.
Good, I agree. Does anybody really know what time it is? There's an interesting beat there.
Yeah, that's kind of like. I remember
swing.
when we recorded. It's definitely got a serious element of swing. And it's got a serious element of Ringo. I get high with a little help of my friends, like the verse. But like so, combination of Buddy and Ringo, I think, and myself. I mean, because it was me that was meshing those parts together,
Right.
Like the verses was very, very. I really tried to keep it more rock, and then and then swing as we got into the choruses, it swung more.
Speaking of swing, you have Saturday in the Park, which goes to a shuffle in the middle of it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was
Saturday in the Park. Yeah.
Rarely done in pop music. I mean, that was a hit song.
We got away with so much. Like, Make Me Smile. When you think about it, that being those licks being in a hit song. Of course, you're probably going to get to it. So I apologize. I probably jumped ship.
No, go ahead.
Saturday in the Park, no. Saturday in the Park is like my tribute to Dino Danelli. Because
Really?
In the early Rascal stuff, I really loved Dino's playing. Yeah, yeah. It was really my tribute to Dino Danelli.
How so?
Vibe, attitude, I remember seeing the Rascals as I was a young kid, and listening to him. He was playing traditional in those days, and doing some Gene Krupa-esque stuff, So because they were influential on us at that time.
25 or 6 to 4.
25 or 6 to 4 is two drum kits. One, the first pass was just straight time, and then the second pass was like the 5-stroke roll. Wait, da da da, and then take up the jing, da da da, and then take up the jing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And then I would do certain parts of it where I would double the drum part, the other drum part, and then sometimes I would hear a crash there, and I would answer the crash. And if you listen on headphones, you can hear that it's two drum parts. The backstory to that is the band. I came up with the idea. I wanted to do two separate drum parts, and our producer James William Gershill loved the idea. He thought, well, that's a great idea. So the band was up. It was the band came in and heard me overdubbing these drums, and they said, "What the F is he doing?" And he explained, and they got all pissed off because I was taking up so much time doing two drum parts. So we had to cut it off before it was completely perfected. So you can hear some imperfections in it, but when they went to mix it, it sounded magical, So.
I like the imperfections. Nobody ever complains about the Motown stuff, man, where it's not, it's maybe the horns were a little out of tune, or some of the old New Orleans stuff where maybe it swings, maybe it doesn't, or maybe some guys are, some guys aren't. It just, if it works, it works, right?
It's magical. The Motown stuff, the best stuff was in Detroit, way better than anything done in L.A. I mean, they did some good things, but the Detroit stuff was pure magic.
I agree. And with all of that, warts and all,
Yeah.
They weren't perfect. They didn't do it 1,000 times and put it with a click.
Yeah, that's what I really respected about our producer is he knew when to say, you know what, it's great. Like Searching So Long, that's a rehearsal take. And
Really?
There's mistakes there's mistakes. You can hear little like hesitations, but there's a magic in there and Just You and Me, I think, kind of more. It's Just You and Me is a little bit that way, but for sure, Searching So Long.
I didn't know that. That's
I give him a lot of respect for that.
Yeah.
He really knew. We always ran tape, even at our first run through of the song.
You never know what you'll get. Mic them up and
That's
run
right.
tape, right?
Yep.
Everybody in the same room, mic them up and run tape.
Yep.
Still works. Before we talk about your new band now, let's talk about some music in it. 25 or 6 to 4, for example, you played in 1969, but you played in your new band now in 2019. What would be the difference in your approach? How would Danny Seraphine sound different on that tune today than he did then?
Which song was that again?
Well, you can pick any of them. I was just looking at 25 or 6 to 4, but you do several of them now.
Now if you go online and look at how I play it now, I kick the horns, da 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 da. I don't know. How would I play it differently? I'd probably kick the horns a little more, but not do some double bass drum stuff in the guitar solo. I would do it just the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that much. What I just do an evolutionary version of it. I mean, I've evolved as a player, and the song has evolved. As you play it more and more, it evolves. Now some people, sometimes you change it too much. I would hope I haven't, but some people change it too much.
Well, that was what I was getting at was the evolution. I mean, we hear different music today. We're surrounded by different stimulation. It creeps into your soul, right? I mean, how have you evolved as a drummer?
Well, I'm 70 years old. I'm going to be 71 in 2 weeks. So I would like to think that I replaced my fastball with a wicked slider, so to speak. So I'm smarter. I may not have quite the speed, the chops, but I still do have quite a bit of chops, and I think I have better time. So I think I'm a more tasteful player.
It's a good answer.
And and I think I'm swinging even harder and more than I did then. I mean, when I listen to the drum parts on Chicago.The, I find it hard to think that I could play them much better. And that was really, first album I was scared shitless, There's some great moments, there's a lot of great moments, but the second album, I really started liking being under the microscope. And I started saying, wow, I dig this. I like the challenge, I can do this and do this and watch. So I think that on that album, Chicago.7, the same thing, Chicago.5. So I think I'm a more tasteful player. I have better time, and I still have a lot of energy and chops. So I'm a better all-around drummer.
That's great. I think drummers have a tendency to get better as they get older, whereas maybe I don't know, I think of a trumpet as a younger man's game.
Well, if you take care of yourself, you have to really take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look like you're in great shape. You have any kind of physical regimen you use?
Every morning I stretch, do yoga and Pilates. I'm working out. Right now I'm working out with a trainer, a couple times a week. And, some weight training, not heavy weight training, but light weight training. So
I have a friend who's an actor, and she told me if you study acting, you do yoga. I mean, it's normal, and that drummers should really embrace that. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's really, well, you got to, strengthening your yoga and Pilates, strengthening your core is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a good thing to do.
Let's talk about your new band. Tell me about that.
The California Transit Authority?
Yes.
Well, they're not so new. I've been with them. It's been since 2006.
Right, but the people who know you from Chicago think of it as a new band, right? Yeah. Tell us about that band.
It was put together with like the spirit of Terry Kath. It was really, we have our guitarist Mark Bonilla. To me, is one of the great guitarists in the world. He's an amazing guitarist. So he's like Terry. He's just so freaking good. He's an amazing musician. Our keyboardist Ed Roth is equally good in his own way as a jazz player, and he's one of the ultimate tasteful keyboardists, organists. Travis Davis, who sings Terry's vocals, and Robert Lamb's vocals, a great bass player and a really fine singer. Tony Grant is just, an awesome R&B singer with the Cetera range, and he does the Cetera stuff so well and brings another whole different kind of element into it. That's about it. I mean, the horn, I usually get horn sections because of the economics that are involved. I pick up horn sections wherever, in whatever region I'm going to be in. So that's kind of the way. And I used to have a percussionist, but sometimes the budget doesn't allow. I love playing with percussionists. Latin percussionists are a blast. Like the guy on the Modern Drummers name is Walter Rodriguez. I've played with Luis Conte before, has done gigs with us, and just that brings another element, a wonderful element to the band.
I know you do the tune "I'm a Man" with a percussionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but usually I do it nowadays. I do it alone, But now I'm even doing the thing where I bust into Topsy Part 2, which is really cool.
Really? Oh, there's a reference.
Yeah, because Cozy Cole was a big influence on me.
Oh, very cool. Are you working a lot with the band, or do you want to work a lot nowadays?
Yeah, we work a good amount. I mean, we probably do 35 dates a year, which is okay. We could work 70. We don't work as much as I think we should, because I think that's how good the band is. So, but now I have a thing called Danny Seraphine's Take Me Back to Chicago tour, and the band gave me permission to use that for marketing.
Oh, great! And that's going on now, ongoing.
Yeah. But I'm using, that's how they're marketing the CTA and me. and so it's good right now. I mean, I would like to be working more, but I'm doing a lot of different things too. I do a lot of charity.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But you're also being recognized now for your contribution. I think there was a period there where I'm sure you felt it, and now everybody's turning back and going, wow, man, Danny's for real. Danny sounded great. Still does.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it feels to me like Modern Drummer's forgotten me, but maybe I don't know. I haven't seen anything in Modern Drummer about me in years and years, but there's a lot of drummers that and it's a very prideful thing for me, like Greg Bissonette, Todd Zuckerman, David Garibaldi, Simon Phillips. Have all said that are a big influence on that. That's a great honor for me. To me, that's there's no greater compliment than to have a drummer of that caliber saying that I had a really profound influence on them. And I'm very deeply, deeply honored by that.
Well, you did have that influence on so many drummers. Classic Drummer hasn't forgotten you. I see you're in the Hall of Fame there.
No.
And congratulations on your induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you.
How did that
feel?
Was
a beautiful night. That was cool. That's a great, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. People put it down, but man, when once you get inducted into it, it's a great club to be a part of. And the honor is really, it's a great honor.
It's a great honor. I mean, did you think when you were a kid and starting to go the wrong direction in life and you got involved with music that someday you'd be interviewed with, as a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
No, I had no idea. I didn't think so. So I've been blessed, and I'm very, very, very fortunate.
Well, where can people find out about you? What's your website?
DannySeraphine.com or www.ctaztheband.com, or I have a fan page on Facebook. So there's a lot to be, a lot up there. So those are the main places.
Do you post to your Facebook page?
I do. Probably not as much as I should, but I do. I just did a really political thing, and I got a lot of flack, but we won't get into that.
That's all right. I think that's okay. I don't mind people speaking their mind on anything, and you've certainly earned the right to.
Well, a lot of people say, well, you're a drummer, don't, what do you know about gun laws and stuff like that? And, so.
What does anybody know, right?
Yeah. Well, I know one thing: we can do a lot better, and we should do better. And what's going on is shameful, absolutely shameful. We should be ashamed of ourselves that it's gotten to this, and that our president and all of those politicians have not done anything. So I'm pretty angry about that. As a man that's been around since I was born in 1948, we can do better. All of us.
I agree completely. I'm 55. Yeah. I was born. I'm a little behind you, but we're seeing the world change so dramatically, and it's so dangerous. And speak out. Continue to speak out. I encourage you.
Yeah, I intend to.
All right. Well, anything else you want to tag on to this? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I think it's great. I mean, I really appreciate the great interview and getting to know you. And where are you located?
I'm in Atlanta, and I wish we could do these face to face because there are glitches in Skype or whatever we're using that day. But nobody ever seems to complain about the technical problems because we get good interviews from great artists like you.
I bet you do. Yeah, it seems to be pretty seamless to me. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Danny. I have seen your current band before, and I've seen you with Chicago years ago, but I hope to see you again very soon. You have a PASIC appearance or anything like that coming up?
No, they've never asked me to appear at their.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna raise a little bit of hell about that.
Yeah, well, I think you might have to. That's
with all my influence, though, I wouldn't count on much. But I know so many people, like you just mentioned earlier, that you see Todd and Greg and those guys, and I'm sure they would love to have you there.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. You would never know.
All right. Well, you're living in L.A. now?
No, I was, and I just moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. So are you working locally at all there?
I'm trying to put something together. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I think, working on something.
Okay. Well, thank you
But either
so
way,
much.
it's a good place to base. It's easy to get in and out of. And, you know.
Thank you so much. It's been my honor to interview you, Danny, and I will remain a
thank you
fan
very
forever,
much.
and I appreciate everything you've
I
done.
look forward to meeting you face to face.
Same here,
and I'm
brother.
sure we will. Yeah.
Same here. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. Take care. You too. Bye-bye.